What did I say last year? Boy, it's funny how these things come into fruition. I love that Dan Moore. There's two things here with him saying what he just said that I really, really, really love. Number one, I love that Dan Morgan made a decision that when Teteroy McMillan was staring you right in the face at 8 because you probably were surprised that he was there, it was like, oh, yeah, no brainer. And people around the league probably looking like, huh? I understand you giving Bryce some weapons, but, I mean, they looked pretty solid last year against Atlanta. I mean, you would think that, you know, these guys can develop, and you might make a strong argument that XL might have developed into the X. You never know. He played okay in the Atlanta game. You know, Jalen Coker played well. So you got guys. Y'all had the worst defense statistically in league history, and you draft a receiver? Yes. Why? Because I see aggressive in that boy's eyes, and as soon as he finds it out, this offense is going to be something to deal with. And towards the end of the season, it became that, right? But let's fast forward back or rewind back. Second part of that, I want to be used like I was used in college. Well, the route against the Eagles was similar to what you do in college, drop. I want to be used like I was used in college. Well, you can make a decision to run a choice route. If many of you out there don't know what a choice route is, it is literally like, hey, you have a choice to what you want to run based on what the defense is showing. You do it, I look for you, we make a play. Now, considering where you were drafted, you would probably get carte blanche to be able to do that. Only problem is that every time we run a slant, you get blown up and the ball comes out. When you run a stick nod, it's usually not completed. You see what I'm saying? Feet not in proper place. We saw the Jalen Coker contorting of his body in the in the wild card game, stepping his feet in bounds with that catch. Would you ever think XL could do anything like that? Probably not. So the choices are limited. That's part of the problem. So then, okay, what do I do? What's the solution? Well, Cam's about to give it to you.
I'll give you a different perspective as well, too, that a lot of receivers don't understand. If I could give you a piece of advice, lock in with your quarterback. Simple. When I mean lock in, it ain't reps. This has nothing to do with physical. The reason why me and Greg was so effective, one day a week, me and Greg will watch film. And it wasn't watching film where, like, bro, after practice, Greg knew I was still watching film. He would come in as I was watching film and ask this simple question. What you see?
Right.
Oh, you see it like that? Oh, I'm not open to you. But Cam, I am open.
Right.
Give me an opportunity. Those type of rapports don't happen as much as people think from the receiver to the quarterback position. And from the quarterback lens, it's always where, bro, I gave you one slant, bro, you were strapped. I gave you another one, you may have slipped. I gave you another one and you just dropped it. That a quarterback loses confidence just like a receiver loses confidence in the quarterback's accuracy.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that for sure.
Brad, we talked about that at nauseum. Let me tell you what else we talked about. At the end of this year, we started finally seeing the fruits of the labor because Jalen Coker came into the season labored, allegedly out of shape, hurt. But boy, when he started to turn it on, when things started to get, a little better for him, what did we see? We saw the fruits of labor because last year, and I ain't saying, look, what Cam just described is not what I just described. XL, I said this before on the channel. He is but I'm just going off of what you put out there. I'm not saying definitively because I don't know you. But if I'm going off of what you put out there, he's more of an introvert. He's a family guy. He want to be around his people. I want to go hunt. I want to eat squirrels. All that horseback stuff, that's me. That's what I want to do, right? These guys ain't on that type of time. I love the NFL, but this is really where I'm at with it. This is what I really, really enjoy and what I love and what, makes me feel whole. You know what I'm saying? And he's a personable guy, super personable guy, a guy that more than likely is supporting people that are around him, you know what I'm saying, in the loss of some, really key family members in his life. However, when you look at Jalen Coker last year, where did you see Coker mostly? Locked to Bryce's hip. Pictures in the offseason, the only place that he wasn't, and it was because of training due to injury, was when they had that little retreat that Adam Thielen threw out in Minnesota. Outside of that, basketball games right there with him. Training in California right there with him. probably on the phone with him once, 2, 3 times, 4 times a week. Now, that's a different type of rapport. Not saying you have to have that, because that's not the example that Cam Newton just set. Cam Newton and Greg Olsen could not be more different as people. But here's where the commonality lies: professionalism. And that's what Cam is going to go on to say. Before I push play, I want to hear your response to that.
Everybody has got to get to a certain level of professionalism. I don't know if this kid's there or not. When he comes in, he looks in shape. When he comes in, he looks like he's been working. You get your reports out of the Charlotte Observer that he's staying after and working on his hands and all those different things. I feel like this is just one more thing that he needs to have in his head. Like, look, man, do everything you can to mature and to deepen that relationship with the guy who divvies out the opportunities. We know Bryce and T-Mac have a relationship from California.
Mm-hmm.
We know that him and Coker, their relationship has blossomed since Coker has, been in the NFL and been in Carolina with, all the things that you just described. And so I feel like this is just another thing where he needs to know in his head, like, hey, man, like, working with your quarterback, being where he's at, it's going to require some more additional sacrifice on your part. You may think that by working out with Route God, going and, running your sprints and working out when you're at home, when you're, not hunting, riding horses and those things, and then you show up on time and you show up training camp, mini camp, you think you're doing what you need to do. You got to also, on top of being a gym rat, you got to work on your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something everybody doesn't know. I think we've seen with this kid, like the time it's taken for him to mature, the losses he's endured in his personal life. And then him being from a small town, like these just might be things that he doesn't know, he hasn't picked up on. I mean, I feel like Cam really did put him on some true game, you know what I'm saying, to be like, look, man, here are things you can do to get better. Here are things you can do to improve your immediate situation. And I just hope the kid, wasn't in any kind of way dismissive. I mean, it sounds like he's, absorbing it. It sounds like he's taking the advice. And he's like, yeah, man, I agree with you. So even Cam was saying, like, I'm a film rat. I'm watching film all the time. And then I go get with my tight end and it's like, hey, here's another nuance that you haven't thought about. Mm-hmm. And you started seeing that kind of stuff. I mean, the back end zone throw against Seattle in the playoffs, where it was like, if you're watching all 22 and Cam doesn't make that throw, you don't think that he missed Greg Olsen if he goes somewhere else, because it looked like Greg Olsen was covered. You know what I'm saying? He gave him the opportunity. Now, I have seen, like, the Denver game last year, a couple of those times he has tried to hit XL on those jump balls. I'm thinking, okay, this is the opportunities you're talking about. Get a hand on it, can't secure it, those different kinds of issues, pop up. So it's like, okay, so now that I've got this other 6'5" avatar, I'm going to go to him in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because the 2 or 3 times I've gone to him, he's only dropped it once. The other times have been touchdowns. Some of them super contested. You do have so few opportunities, especially on a run-heavy team like we are.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, as far as the other stuff, like, when you were talking about Coker coming back and contorting his body and all those different things, I like what Schlereth said about giving your quarterback a chance on, the plays where, like, XL catches it and then 1 foot out of bounds, like, the toe tap, those kind of things. But I'm always going to push back on the, like, every catch shouldn't have to be amazing. I am glad, though, that it's this kind of competition in our wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
Because this kid, man, like, he had the opportunity as the first round pick to do his thing. And when you got this undrafted guy that's coming out and he's making chicken salad and you're continuing to muck around, you know what I'm saying, in the stew and struggle, hey, um, you better take this game and you better, take it to heart. And as soon as this, couple more weeks of everybody chilling, vacationing, he needs to get on it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
Bryce, they're going to pick up Bryce fifth. They picked up Bryce fifth option.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be your potential quarterback for the next 2 or 3 years.
100%. And that's the thing that you're right. And so that still goes back to my argument. And I still don't think that it's off the table that they move on. And the reason is because now here's what I'll say. The way that he answers these questions right here, I'll say this after the fact. Let's keep going.
Sure, I feel like that do play a big part in the game, and I feel like in that part of in that aspect, I do lack in that part because I don't have sit downs with Bryce as much as I should. So I agree with that.
So, and even knowing this, bro, I've been in the league long enough to understand certain positions, they the last one in, first one out.
Oh.
Receivers, DBs, some linebackers, and some words of wisdom that was given to me. There's two types of players in the NFL. There's football players, and there's professional football players.
Oh.
Bar. Because that's where it is right there. There's football players and professional football players. Here's the reality, Brad. When you're doing so many different things as a rookie, dating back to the Captain Munderland conversation, man, I had all this media stuff and I had all this and all this, that. There's really not a lot of time for you to focus on the main thing being the main thing, and that's playing. So now you got that opportunity. How are you using it? Right? What's your offseason looking like? As I told you before, and I will say it again, brother, live your life. Just don't show us everything, because that's what we judge you on. I can only judge you off the optics. And if the optics are drop passes, excuses about dirted balls, all these other kind of things that we talk about, right? And look, I see the chat. I see that there's people like, well, man, he throw every ball at his feet. Really? Not every single one. Did he throw the one at his feet that got stripped away last year against New Orleans? He didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, did he throw it at his feet? I mean, even this year, we can go to this year. Did he throw it at his feet on the 3 touchdowns? No. That ball, you could tell that they were in succession. I argued this point in the Green Bay game. Bryce tried to make that same throw that he made to XL in the Dolphin game, where he kind of throws it just a little bit inside shoulder, right, around the DB, where he contorts his body and makes a weird catch. He did it in the Dolphin game. Amazing play. You know that had to be repped a bunch of times. They just made a mistake, and Jair Alexander made him pay for it. But the point is that.
Well, plus he was throwing in a 25-mile-per-hour wind.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point.
Because it laid up a little bit where it didn't lay up in Miami.
In Miami, yes. That's a great point, right? It's an excuse that people don't want to give, but there's a reason that the camera angles up towards the top of the goalpost and shows the flags waving like crazy. They want to show you just how intense it is in that building, right? So, yeah, great point. But to Excel's credit, I will say, like we talked about it, you got to give him opportunities. But that's going to come from the professionalism part. This may be the first time that somebody, and I know people like, dog, that's an excuse. Nah, because not everybody going to give it to you real like Cam. Not every coach is going to give it to you real. This may be the first time that XL has really got game like this. You know what I'm saying? He not going to listen to us. He not listening to content creators. We've said this, right? And we're probably not the only ones that have said this. But I know for a fact that you and I have said this on this channel. Lock in with your QB, right? It is the best piece of career advice that you can have. And the fact that he was vulnerable enough, this is why I'm going to give XL a ton of credit. And I think personally, this could be a career-altering conversation for him. This conversation, I will dare say, based on what I have said I would like to see, I think that this conversation could have been the very thing that saved XL's career in Carolina to begin with, right? Because of the vulnerability of him saying, you know what? You're right, man. I really ain't locked in with Bryce like I'm supposed to. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that Bryce is the end-all, be-all, but whoever's your signal caller, you need to be locked in with him. That's what Cam's point is trying to be. You think Cam wanted to be locked in with Kalen Clay? He was. and gave him an opportunity. I'm serious. And gave him an opportunity in a game where he dropped a pass that could have potentially sent us to the what? NFC Championship, was it? Or was that the wild card round? To the division.
It would have sent us to the division. That was
the
the wild card round.
You see what I'm saying? How you think Cam felt about that? Hey, but you know what? It is what it is, bro. Let's go talk about it. He wasn't on the team after that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I remember him in New England bouncing balls off of N'Keal Harry's chest just over and over. Like, man, like, come on, dude, catch this one, bam. Catch this one, bam. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I think it's one of those things that said, I tell people, I don't want to waste picks. And he's a first-round pick of ours. He's still on a rookie deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the trade value, I mean, maybe somebody out there, but they know what he is and what he's done here. And if somebody's trying to offer something below a sixth, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't even look at that. You can't even give him a sniff. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I want the kid to succeed. Like, you've seen the things that he did. And then to your aspect, you know what I'm saying, back to the point of, you know, is there anybody on this staff? Like, I was recruited, you know, by I had his name in my Jim Caldwell. You know what I'm saying? Jim Caldwell is a very, very personable human. Mm-hmm. I don't know. And that was a big thing of his when he played, when he was the coach of the Colts. It was like, yo, Jim Caldwell is this really, really personable guy. And mm-hmm. everyone in the building. So I've seen more of Dom Capers with defensive guys and with Evero. And, you know, I think maybe that's just kind of what the reports they're doing. But I don't know how much stamp that, you know, Jim Caldwell's getting to put on this team. But, I mean, you look at, you know, our guy, the linebackers coach on the Roar Room podcast. I mean, he seems to be a guy that interacts with people really, really well, and a guy that the players trust. Teams,
he's about debates. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, you know what I'm saying? So my hope is, you know, that there is someone like that. But, I mean, to me, you can't, at this point, give up on a guy who's, you know, played 30-some games and you have him for very cheap for another couple years. I mean, they don't even have to look at an option until after the year after next. You know what I'm saying? And you can get what you can get out of him. If it doesn't work in the end, because I've seen the kind of guys that teams move on from after 1 year, mm-hmm. and his attitude and his effort don't reflect that.
Right. And, you know, because Joe Clarity was making a point. He said he felt like he was talking to Dr. Mike, and shout out to y'all in the chat. He said he was talking about the way that XL is kind of responding to this. I mean, you do have to take a few things into consideration. Number one, he knows that he's sitting on a platform where all of us are going to see this, and not just us, but everybody that's connected to Cam Newton from a media personality perspective. Cam's on First Take right now, you know what I'm saying? Or it might be over at this point, but Cam out there. So anything that Cam puts out there is going to grow, and it's going to grow legs, and it's going to be talked about. So, you know, he might be a little bit nervous, right? That's number one. Number two, man, when you're a guy like XL, man, and this is the one thing that I like to do on this show from a context perspective, because from a fan perspective, we can have the thoughts of like, man, I want to see him gone. I want to see him here. I want to see him succeed. I don't really care what happens to him. But we cannot leave out the human factor of this. We cannot leave out the fact that it would affect anybody if they lost both of their parents at such a young age. Like, you can't leave that out. That context has to be there. And guess who I'm talking to when I say that? Me. I'm talking to me, right? Because sometimes I lose sight of that. So I have to reflect in my own face like, yo, dog, you got to chill when it comes to this kid, because in a lot of ways in his life, a lot of things are just about survival, right? And for him to overcome and persevere, like we talked about earlier, to even get to this point is incredible. There's a lot of talent in there. I told you, Brad, you go back and watch the film. There ain't nobody on this roster, and I will say this boldly, even with the guy that just won Offensive Rookie of the Year, nobody explodes off the line like XL. Nobody. His first step is deadly. When you go back and watch that LA Rams game, that same outside release when he was in press, I'm like, that's where if I'm Bryce, this is how I would like to see this conversation start to go before we move on, because we're about to move on. Here's where I want to see this conversation go. When Cam talks to XL and says, hey, man, you need to make him your best friend. I remember the conversation, and Bryce is not this type of guy, but I got to put some culpability on him too, man. It's not just enough to go give your guy a chance. Man, go talk to him. McCole Hardman dropped a big-time pass in the freaking Super Bowl, Brad. And Pat went over and, hey, man, calm down. He was down on himself. He walked over to him, bypassed Andy, bypassed Eric Bieniemy, everybody, and walked right over to him and was like, dog, you going to make a play in this game, but I need you to lock in. Let that go. I know it was a big-time drop. I think it might even led to a pick, Brad, if I'm not mistaken. You going to make a play for us. Who caught the game-winning touchdown, Brad? That's what I'm saying. Mecole Hardman. You see what I'm saying? That stuff matters. So if you, Bryce, that to me, that's part of the next step in your development. It's like, dog, you got to go talk to them too. You got to get with your man. Hey, listen, my bad, I ain't see you right there. If you XL, dog, man, you should have seen me, bro. My goodness. The same pass you threw against Atlanta, Brad, I'm telling you, if you thought the bank was lit, if Bryce would have looked in XL's direction when he released off the line outside, press man, and he was wide hammer open, and he went to Coker because Coker was cooking all game long. So you want to go to the hot hand. But boy, if you would have looked in my direction, oh my God. And if they gave it to you once, what will they do, Brad? They'll give it to you again. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, dog, look my way. I promise you, I got you. It would have been the same thing that happened in Atlanta. The bank would have exploded. We'd have been feeling the tremors off of the shaking in the stadium all the way up in Asheville. That's how intense it would have been inside that stadium had he saw him on that same play against Atlanta, right? Releasing to the outside where he was wide open, blew the man off the line of scrimmage. And I'm like, man. So that's what Cam talking about, like, dog, just look for me. Just look for me. Don't go over there and be quiet and be like, oh, man, he's leave me. No. Go over to me. Hey, dog, check it out. In my best version of a California voice, let me try to take down some of the country stuff and tell you, my young California brother, if you look on the outside and see me out there, please come my way. I promise I got you. I promise.